rising of the sun. We start you off on the positives with self-energized refilling. Hand in hand, toe to toe, in a soothing by and by. We go through your day, keeping you updated with developments around your world and your endeavors. You're better off with CEMTV. As your cheerleader, in your little winning steps, we've got your back when you're down. We lift your spirits and your sights beyond your limitations towards horizons of possibilities each day portends. With a pat on your back, we nudge you on to never think less of yourself. Go do your best, daily, leave the rest. At the end of each day, we urge you, do not give up on yourself. Do not give up on life. Anything is possible. You are going somewhere to happen one day. And when the day winds down, when you need a reliable arm of information and entertainment, welcome home to CEMTV. It's all about you.
You are.
What is the matter?
I feel a little low.
I know what could help. CEMTV Morning Pulse. It's a good day to shine on CEMTV Morning Pulse.
Hey. Wake up, go shine. Go shine, go shine. Morning light, here we go. New day rising, feel the flow. From your world to what's ahead. Every story being said. Feel the rhythm, feel the call. We bring the moment, we bring it up. Wake up, go shine. Step into your light, your time. Feel the world come alive. CEMTV, rise and shine. Wake up, go shine. From the streets to the skyline. Every moment, every line. CEMTV, go shine. From the trends to global views, where the roads and where to go. Markets moving, let it show. Feel the rhythm, feel the call. We bring the moment, bring it up. Wake up, go shine. Step into your light, your time. Feel the world come alive. CEMTV, rise and shine. Wake up, go shine. From the streets to the skyline. Every moment, every line. CEMTV, go shine.
Still feeling low?
No, CEMTV Morning Pulse was just what I needed.
Don't just watch life happen, be a part of it and make it what you want it to be. Starting this minute with CEMTV News Surgery. And this is how I welcome you to one of the best moments of your life, because at the end of this edition you would have learned a few things that would have added value to your life. Well, on our rundown today, what are our school children becoming? What future are we making for ourselves? We often say children are our future, especially with the way our school children are behaving these days. What does it tell? It speaks volumes. We also look at the National Assembly, some members of the National Assembly proposing stiffer sanctions against South Africa's Afrophobic sentiments and inhuman treatment against Nigerians. The National Assembly has also halted the reintegration program of terrorists into the regular security system. We'll take a look also at the Oyo kidnap, where security forces have traced abductors, networks, and associates. And then we'll also dwell on Nigeria's national identity database capture, which has claimed that it has captured 136 million citizens. Is it an appreciable amount, or is Nigeria not doing enough for its citizens' profiling data bank? These and more after the newspaper headlines rundown. Please stay tuned.
CEMTV wakes you up, goes through with you, welcomes you back home. It's all about you, for you. We break your day to the rising of the sun. We start you off on the positives with self-energized refilling. Hand in hand, toe to toe, in a soothing by and by. We go through your day, keeping you updated with developments around your world and your endeavors. You're better off with CEMTV. As your cheerleader, in your little winning steps, we've got your back when you're down. We lift your spirits and your sights beyond your limitations towards horizons of possibilities each day portends. With a pat on your back, we nudge you on to never think less of yourself. Go do your best, daily, leave the rest. At the end of each day, we urge you, do not give up on yourself. Do not give up on life. Anything is possible. You are going somewhere to happen one day. And when the day winds down, when you need a reliable arm of information and entertainment, welcome home to CEMTV. It's all about you.
Yes, it's CEMTV News Surgery, and I'm not alone. I have delectable colleagues right here for us to do justice this morning. My pretty, I call her the Queen Bee. She likes her proper names.
Okay, it's all right. Good morning, Mr. MI. How are you doing
I'm
today?
great. I'm great. And you?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Bariswa Christian Winger. You're welcome to News Surgery, where we're bringing the world of Nigeria to your doorstep.
And the foreigner looking Nigeria.
That's the
Mr.
first
Francis,
one.
yeah.
That's the first one. Good morning, MI. Good morning, Queen.
Good morning.
I was on night. The rains are setting in. Before you say Jack,
I don't want
the rain wakes you up.
I don't want to think about it because my area, once it is, once
flooded.
it rains, it's flooded. So I hate it when it rains. But regardless, life is what it is.
Showers are pleasant.
Sometimes you can't help, but also understand that some of the flooding that happens around our area caused by each and every one of us, collective inactions of not properly disposing
And actions as well.
Irresponsible
actions.
Not properly disposing waste, leading to the blockage of the drainage or gutter in this context, because most of us across the state, we don't have drainage system. We have gutters that is created in the likeness of a drainage system. But it's a beautiful morning. 8 days already gone. The second quarter of the first month of the second quarter of the year 2026. How are you this morning? Get on the board and let's get the conversation going.
Okay, but first of all, it's a good point to remind our audience and everyone there to be safety conscious, especially as the rains have set in, because for those who like to be in a hurry, please be careful. Drive safely, drive carefully. In fact, when I was coming to work this morning, I was deliberately and intentionally slower. Because
of the rain and all of that.
our roads are slippery, and I can tell you the truth. not many car users check their tires if what they call the teeth, are still active. Yes, a lot of drivers still ride vehicles or use vehicles with worn out tires. So it's time to go and change it or drive carefully. Reduce your speed. Speed kills. Also remember that it's school runs time. People are going to work. Be careful about our children. Pedestrians, be careful about them. And then for parents too, as the children are going to school, give them something to keep them warm. Give them raincoat, the umbrella, keep them warm. Even offices. And then it reminds me, our chairman promised us choco.
Oh, Dad.
So, cannot forgive us for putting you on the spot. All right, back to you.
Well, let's quickly, take a look at the front pages of our national dailies and some select newspaper headlines from within the continent of Africa, and maybe one on the global space. And we're starting this morning with the front page of the Punch newspaper, and for July 8, the screaming headline, Fake Agency Scandal, Tinubu orders 30-day ICPC probe. Senate rejects blame. Details are on page 2. The writer to the story, anti-graft agency to probe alleged forgery impersonation bank accounts. Police release Adeyemi's father. Continues search for embattled DG. Senate insists 1.3 billion naira budget line not inserted by lawmakers. Denies or declines intervention without petition. Okay, that's a serious one. There still writers to the breaking headline this morning on the fake agency scandal. Above the masthead, we see Dangote breaks ground on $17 billion Kenya refinery. Now, this is just about a month plus since that conversation took place in Kenya. We're seeing actions taking place. Of course, page 2 still has xenophobia. Senate pushes sanctions against South Africa. Orders probe. El Rufai abused medical visit. Doctor arrested. ICPC. Page 24 has details of the story. NBA insists on officers' election amid AGF row. Page 24. Ogun records 161 deaths from 415 road crashes. Page 5. State Police, Tinubu names Bajabiamila AGF to implementation committee. Those are the details you find on the front page of the Punch newspaper, and the very last story, which is something I know we'll all like to hear and get the details. Worry, Port Harcourt Refinery's XMDs face trials over alleged $989,630 and 1.42 billion naira fraud. All right, we move from Punch to the Voice of Liberty. Screaming headline, outrage in Senate as lawmakers demand end to ex-Boko Haram fighters' rehabilitation. Hate speech, fake news has created relational crisis, threaten Nigeria's unity, Sultan Vatican warn. We also see Buhari's first year remembrance to hold on Monday. Xenophobia, NANS gives South African businesses for their ultimatum to exit Nigeria. Bond inaugurates sits ad hoc committee to drive reforms, and northern groups condemned alleged exclusion of Northwest from 3.9 trillion naira federal road project. We move away from that to Vanguard newspaper. The screaming headline, federal government orders marketers to reduce fuel price. Dangote refinery determines price changes. According to marketers, NLC blames government for fuel price standoff, and marketers slow to adjust prices. OGSPAN speaks. Details are on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. We also see FEC reforms NYC to be headed by civilians. And those are the major stories on the front pages of our national dailies. Now let's look at some of the foreign stories. We're starting this morning with the Informer. On the front page of the Informer, the screaming headline, face-saving visit. Mahama snaps Ramaphosa
over xenophobic attacks. You can see details on page 3 of the Informer coming out of the West African region there. We also see drugs, alcohol wouldn't solve problems, doctors warn. Page 4 has details. Still on the Informer, economists recommend more funds for MMDAs. Toxic dump horror at Malam threatens malaria, cholera and typhoid fever. Details are on page 4. And of course, NPP slams Mahama Museum locomotives, Railway Authority fires back. Still coming out of Ghana there. Those are the major stories on the front page of the Informer.
And we'll move over to the Daily Telegraph this morning, where we see Harry humbled in court. There isn't a laundry in the cosmos big enough to wash all the dirty linen he has had about his own family for him to complain about his privacy being invaded. It takes not just the biscuit, but the whole thing. Alright, still on the Telegraph this morning, Faraj Gumbo turns to first. Alright, move over to the next story, which is coming from Republic Press. State visit saga, SA brushes off Ghana. Pretend all is well. That is one of the screaming headline. And another one says NAFCO case takes new turn, AG6 to reverse Hannah travel order. Another one here still on same story, say Health Ministry opens recruitment for medical and dental officers. Police arrest cyber fraudster who escaped after conviction 8 years ago. This is huge. And still on Republic Press, we have a 1,300 recruitment applicant test HIV positive and security agencies exercise. Woo, this is something to really look up to. 1,300. It is huge indeed. All right, we'll move over to other stories this morning coming from Daily Statesman. It says 1,003 security recruitment applicants test HIV positive. And the headline is saying minority demands details on Ramaphosa's deferred visit. Will doesn't make Akofena Christo Asafa leader on lawyer. And the next story here say NPP Afagia Sekere is Asante Akiam contract election suspended. The last story this morning, before we move over to a surgery room, is coming. I hope I get these correct. Of course. All right, this one is coming from Republic Press again. SA brushes off Ghana, and that is all we have this morning. But before we go, let's take this paper. The Informer. Muhammad snubs Ramaphosa over xenophobic attack. Drug alcohol won't solve problem. Economists recommend more funds for MMDA, and that's all we have on the newspaper this morning.
Okay, let me quickly react to that story, or the first story you took on the National Assembly's absorbing themselves to say we didn't put the figures. It is like writing the figure 9 and turning it the other way and say, look, it's 6, it's not 9. Depends on the perspective where you turn it. The question is, as a gatekeeper of the fiscal management of this country, you were one of the gates and one of the gatekeepers. Did that budget containing those figures come to your table? Yes or no? If it came to your table, who went through the documents? Why didn't they figure it out? So rather than outrightly, because the position, like some critics have pointed out, of government is first to say no, it doesn't exist. No, Bajabi Amila is innocent. No. While some are saying no, when an allegation is raised, you look at it, you play a neutral ground. If you sincerely want to sever, if you sincerely want to address the issue, you want to fight corruption, you put everybody on the neutral ground. He who makes an allegation bears the burden of proof. Okay, what are the issues? You ignite the necessary official actions to do investigation, to look if you need to direct Bajabi to step aside. You step aside, do your investigation before you now say, finally, after the findings, XYZ are innocent or XYZ are culpable. So rather than the National Assembly saying we didn't put it, first of all, they should own up to say yes, as part of our oversight function, before we approve the budget for the executive to spend, it was in our place as a committee in the National Assembly to look at the document. It was an oversight. We accept that. But we didn't put it. Rather than saying, no, we didn't put it. And then the government is not culpable. Who told you?
Okay, so
you're taking sides already.
I'm going to play the devil advocate for the members of the Senate this time around. Now, the Office of Budget and Economic Planning is responsible for the preparation of the budget.
Very well.
They meet with the relevant ministries, departments, and agencies of government to collate their annual expected expenses, projects, and all of that. And they put it together and they send it to the president, who now takes it to the Senate. Now, the Senate's job is to scrutinize the budget that has been presented, which means before the Senate can have access to the budget, it must have first been, prepared by the executive and presented by the president, who leads the executive arm of the government. So I agree with the Senate when they said, look, we did not insert the set amount. We are not responsible. If anybody is to blame, it is the executive, and that is the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because it is expected that before the president presents the budget to the National Assembly, there should have been a holistic appraisal of the ministries, departments, and agencies of government and what they are demanding for. Now, if we also go back to the story, Prince Adeyemi has insisted that everything that he did with valid authorization from the executive, coming from Femi Gbajabiamila, who is the chief of staff of Mr. President. So, if anybody is to blame, it is Mr. President and his chief of staff. Don't forget, for somebody, in as much as the president is saying, oh, he forged this, he's forged that. I mean, Mr. M.I., in this country, let's be realistic and let's be fair and let's be just. Can a man, without government backing, be able to access government quarters, interface with government agencies, ministries and departments, have an account and signatories with the Central Bank of Nigeria, like every government establishment is mandated to do, get the requirement to have those accounts, and then find its budget into the year's budget presented to the National Assembly without anybody within the corridors of power knowing?
Francis,
absolutely
you know
possible.
The funny thing, I read somewhere yesterday where Gbajabiamila was saying, take my name off your mouth, otherwise you're going to be paying so billions for this. My lawyers are coming for you. You need to take. I don't understand.
It's not about lawyers. It's not about threat.
Was he sleeping?
It's not about threat.
Because as an adult.
Now let's look at it from a different perspective. If the said agency operated outside the stipulated government operational areas for government agencies, we would understand that this is a scam.
True.
And this is fraud. But it was not outside. So, if the government is telling us, and it's proven that Prince Adeyemi actually operated a presidential agency to the point of having the budget and accounts and everything recognized by the government of Nigeria, and yet it was fake, then the Nigerian government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is telling Nigerians that the government is incompetent and that we do not have security agencies, and that everybody appointed into the different offices, from the office of the chief of staff to the office of the accountant general of the federation to the CBN, that each and every member of these offices are failed Nigerians and they don't have the professional competencies to handle those positions. Because these are things that should not happen in a sane society.
But yet they're still in power.
It's a sad narrative.
It is.
Like I said, invariably, it's how you turn. Is it 9 or 6? It's how you turn the figure from what perspective you're looking at it. Why we agree that yes, it emanated from the office of the budget, the budgeting office. And in collaboration, the figures are fed in from the various ministries, agencies, and departments who report to the chief executive. The duty of scrutinizing and approving the budget, questioning, rests with the National Assembly.
True.
So that's why I said they shouldn't just absolve themselves to say we didn't put. Yes, you didn't put the figure, but if you didn't also see the figure when it was in your place to see the figures, you're also part of the blame.
It therefore means they're not even doing their due diligence to start with. Any name they see on the
questions,
budget, they
their
just
due diligence process.
Femi waking up this morning, Bajabiamela saying you have to pay for defamatory of character, and it doesn't add up. Nigerians are asking, where were you when this name was on the budget? This guy has been in this secretariat since 2015 till date. Or 2025,
No,
yes,
2024.
24, 25.
Yeah,
No, he
24.
came officially 2025 to 2026. And yet you're saying you don't know this person. Is this African magic?
No, it's
Right,
maybe we are getting back to the era where snakes swallowed money,
Or monkeys swallowed
monkeys
money.
swallowed billions,
I
and
hear
then
you.
let it slide. Because it is appalling to see that a government of a country can be so compromised to that level. The presidency is the highest office, and to have an agency at that level, it means there's even a possibility that we are scamming other countries in the name of the presidency, and the presidency does not know about it. The security agencies cannot say about it.
Now, this might just be one of many cases of fake. Which we are
it's
yet
not
to
proven.
see. You don't know.
I personally
It might
don't
be.
believe the said agency is fake until maybe the court says otherwise.
And this same man was shaking with dignitaries in this country, and yet he's a scammer. I don't know what to believe of this story, but it is what it is.
Okay, so back to one of our key discuss this morning, our future, our children, our school children, Nigerian school children. I got a couple of, in a couple of times, I witnessed some within, as I moved around certain areas. I noticed during the pass out or graduation of secondary school pupils that they got involved. It also happens in tertiary schools. They get into high rate situations. You see a lot of youthful exuberance where they start writing on their shirts and so on, pouring water, all manner of dancing. Some are even enunciating, some are offensive, start doing that. And then sometimes they even get to fighting and all that. Wild, call it gyration. And it became a talking point. So yesterday, I noticed one again where sometimes someone said where this children closed from school and they turned the whole street into a battleground and so on. Then yesterday again, they brought it to my knowledge as a journalist. They will always tell you, you are the mouthpiece. They brought to my knowledge again, somewhere again in town, 2 schools. Look at them. These children are below 18. Secondary school children who just graduated, as they were going home, 2 schools. All manner of things. They started fighting, throwing bottles, machetes. They couldn't get some of those visuals. But so you see the rowdy nature of children, people watching, adults watching them and saying, what are these children becoming, are turning out to be? So it dropped in my mind to say, where did we miss it? When did it start? Is it what we send our children to school to become? At the end of the day, it is the philosophers, the thinkers, the creators of the education system. Their original intention was to refine the mind of man, to make the individual a better person. And that's why some of the schools of thought who define education say education is the development of an individual mentally, physically, socially, morally for his own usefulness and that of the society. And they say it is a permanent change in behavior as a result of new experiences. So when you look at it, you send your child to school, and your child, rather than becoming a bunch, a collection of values. Yesterday I talked about a brand where they say, was it on Monday, when they say, what is your name? Your name is not just, I am Mr. So. What do you do? I am a medical doctor. I am an architect. No, beyond that, you are a bundle of value attributes. And that speaks more than the name you call yourself. So you can say, I'm a prince, and then you're a criminal, you're a thief. The name prince does not, even if you say, I am Jesus, like they say in Brazil, which means Jesus, it doesn't exonerate you. You can say, look, I'm a first class medical graduate, a doctor, and you're a criminal, you're an armed robber. It doesn't exonerate you. So what that connotes and portends is that everybody should guard their personality and carry along from day to day as you encounter people, what we call brand touch point. As you encounter people, be a pack, let people be inspired by your pack of values. So, sorry, before I come to you, still laying the background. So you find that our children, they go to school and they come back and they wow you negatively. And so I said, okay, this morning, once again, because we often say our children are our future. So what future are we making for ourselves? Let me give you a few reports before I turn to my colleagues. Now, from UNESCO, these are some of the negative reports. The bullying data by UNESCO found that nearly 32% of Nigerian children aged between 12 and 17 have experienced bullying. The regional gap says psychological violence affects 61% in the south versus 38.7% in the north. On out-of-school crisis, UNESCO puts Nigeria's out-of-school children at over 20 million. That's the latest report. One of the highest in the world. And they say, so for we attribute it to insecurity. On attacks on education, UNESCO Director General Audrey Azoulay says schools must remain safe places free of conflict and violence. And their report says between 2009 to December 2018, in northeast Nigeria, 611 teachers were killed, 910 schools damaged and destroyed, 1,500 plus schools closed or affected by the various forms of environmental terrors or attacks on their character. Because one fundamental thing is that every human being is a product of nurture and nature, and nurture has to do with the factors of environment, everything that they encounter in the environment. UNICEF goes on to say that on violent discipline, UNICEF reports that 85% of Nigerian children aged between 1 and 14 experience violent discipline, with nearly 1 in 3 experiencing severe physical punishment. Much of this happens in schools. Their context. Now, the UNICEF chief Sandhar Pandey Subrahyan called this, quote, as staggering statistics indicative of crisis, and noted it contradicts Nigeria's national policy on safety, security, and violence-free schools. The United Nations Secretary General and UN Resident Coordinator on Global Ranking, UN's 2024 report on children and armed conflict, published in 2025, ranked Nigeria 4th globally for grave violations against school children, and they put the amount at 2,436 verified cases as at 2024. Now, attacks surging. They report that the attacks on schools globally rose 44% between 2022 to 2023. Over 10,000 students and teachers killed, abducted, arrested, or injured in that period. And the report goes on. So my first question will be to you, Barisua. Is it true that willy-nilly, by our actions and inactions, we have set up an environment that has brought about the kind of school children we are seeing today, who, as they go through school and they graduate, rather than becoming the finest of brains and persons and personalities, we see these jungle-like forest-like, caveman-like behaviors.
101% correct.
Okay, so we have set the.
We have, because
Talk to us about
yes,
it. Yeah.
I would like to take it back home. Growing up, I was raised in a barracks, and growing up, I wasn't raised by my parents alone. They say your environment will influence you.
Exactly.
But the parent you have will nurture you into something great. Now, growing up, if I do something which is out of character, before my mom will even get to me, the neighbors, they've dealt with me severely. Everyone was watching out for everyone. It takes a society to raise a child. But what we have today, it takes just a parent to raise one child. Recently, there's a video that surfaced last week or this week where a teacher was beaten to death.
By pupils?
No, not just student, the parent.
Okay, they came and attacked.
Exactly, because the teacher corrected this child for deviant behavior. Don't do this, and the child was punished as it should be in school. The parent came, beat up this teacher. She was taken to the hospital, and she died. This wasn't the case the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, or the 60s. It takes a community, a society to raise a child. But what we have now, don't touch my child. You don't know as I take Bonham, that is Nigerian English. You don't know as I take Suffer Forum. These and more. Now in secondary school, what we have is cultism, they do drugs, and some teachers even influence. Yes, to say, some teachers influence his behavior, because some of them, these are the same thing they do. How will a teacher send? I have a case where a teacher have to send a student to go buy a pack of cigarettes. Still in River State here. So everything that is happening, it's man-made, and it's our problem. Before, we don't have to put this on the government or the teacher. But at home, how do you raise your child? Even if you're a single parent, won't you want to strive for that child to be better than you? It comes back to parenting.
Okay, you've touched one of the factors. In every society, values, norms, belief systems are transferred from generation to generation in what is described as sociological, societal making. And the factors of socialization are, one, the family. So I'm going to come to you, Francis, on that. They say the family is the bedrock of the society. No matter how big we are, whether we are 1 billion, it trickles down to the family system, and then trickles down to the individual family members. What is it that our families have lost? Like Barisua said, the family. I can also relate with the family I grew up from. In fact, I was about the last in all the lines. My grandfather and grandmother had 3 children. So among the 3 children, my dad was the first son, was second born, but he was the last to bear children. Okay. So the other 2 were my elders. Okay. So invariably, and then from my mother, we were just 2, and I was still the last.
Okay.
So what that meant is that it rained down. So let me put the funnel like this: my grandparents, my parents, my auntie and uncle, and then their children, and then from my mother, I was the last. So everybody was
on you. I get it.
So I suffered. I know. So if you do this, everybody was spanking me here, left, right, and center.
But for good.
But I'm naturally an introvert. I became timid. I became afraid. I lived with fear. It was God that delivered me, because everything, especially my dad. But the point is, from the family, what is it that we don't understand? That we have a duty to the future we aspire. You don't wish your future, you make it. And this is what we are making of our children.
So I'm going to go biblical a little bit. Ephesians 6:4 says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instructions of the Lord. Proverbs 29:19. By mere words a servant is not disciplined, for though he understands, he will not respond. And Proverbs 29:17 says, discipline your son, and he will give you rest. He will give delight to your heart. Proverbs 23:13. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with a rod, he will not die. And the last Bible portion this morning, Proverbs 22:15. Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline drives it far from him. Coming to the question, you see, from the Nigerian educational system to the Nigerian home, the modern day home, where we have chosen to replace punishment with luxury and pleasure for our children in most families, we are directly responsible for what is happening. Your question is, where did we get it wrong? Now, like you stated, we grew up in an environment where the child was not raised by your father and your mother alone. It was a community relationship. It was a communal effort. Now, as a result of that communal effort, you would find that your parents would discipline you. They would discipline other people's children when they see them go wrong. And the families of the children being disciplined would come and say, oh, thank you for helping us set our child right. But today, try spanking a child who has gone wrong and see what the parents would do. That's the picture of the lady in Kogi State that was killed by a parent. And what was the story? A child misbehaves in school. A teacher punishes the child. The child sustained an injury in the process. And then the father, instead of coming to question or ask what the child did, went violent on the teacher and killed. I don't want to go into asking questions as to what happened, but clearly the Nigerian government has failed. The authorities of the school has failed, because I remember my days, at some point I was a senior prefect. I had a similar incident where a daughter of a Mupol personnel, because the father was an influential person within the Nigerian Mupol, came to school late, and I punished him as a senior prefect.
As he should be.
As he should be. And while I was punishing her, she held the strokes was 3 strokes of the cane, or you choose to go do manual labor.
Okay.
She opted for the cane, and when I struck, she held back the cane and attempted to take it out from me to flog me back as a senior prefect. So other prefects around, held her down, and I gave her the 3 strokes. She left the school, went and brought the father. The father, without asking what the child did, without even going to the principal's office,
came straight to you.
Followed her straight to my class, this is 3 class, to come pick me up.
My God.
The student rounded up and destroyed the police vehicle that came. It was a serious issue. Now, would that issue have happened if the father first and foremost asked the question, what did my child do to necessitate this? And was there any injury on the child's body to show, this was not a normal punishment or punitive measures to correct the child, but something vindictive? No. So we have grown from a community of shared interest and upbringing to that of selfishness, where parents no longer care about the welfare of their children or how their children behave. And like you rightly stated, Bariswa, most mothers will say, it took me 10 years before I conceived that child, so don't kill him or her for me. But we forget that these monsters that we are raising, we are not raising them just for ourselves.
No.
We are raising them for the larger society. Then take that to the government coffers. I think in 2023, the Nigerian government said, let's put an end to corporal punishment. Teachers no longer should have the right to punish students in school when they go wrong. As a result of that, some states in Nigeria have already enforced it, especially with the the emergence of the VAP law, the Violence Against Persons Act and the Child Rights Act. Because of this, teachers were relegated to the back, where a child can do just anything in the school environment.
Get away with it.
That was supposed to handle the mental, the attitude, the well-being and the academic welfare of that child. So when you graduate, you've been found worthy in learning and in character.
That's how.
But because of our laws, we took out the character formation out of the educational system and left it at learning. And guess what? When you take out character, learning becomes useless.
It does.
One of the things that Donald Trump became controversial for signing the executive order, ordering that the United States of America go back to look into the issues of giving teachers the access and the authority to punish and discipline children, was that executive order. But Trump understood that as a result of taking out punishment from the institution and discipline from the institution, America has ended up raising children who do not have respect and moral value
At all.
who do not have discipline. If you see our children today in the street, they rarely, unless that child is from a well Christian home or a family background that has spent time to train that child, how many children do you find on the street see you as an elderly person and greet you?
Oh my.
The simplest thing as seeing an elderly person in the morning and saying, good morning, ma'am, good morning, sir. You don't see it. Even when, as an elderly person, in a move to teach this child, say, good morning, my dear. A child of 3 years, a child of 5 years turns back to an elderly person that is old enough to be his mother or his father and say, good morning.
Just that.
Without the sir or the ma.
Just look at that.
Because we have created a consciousness that tells children there is no discipline. There are no consequences for any immoral act that you take. So the family is at fault, the community is at fault, the government is at fault. My parents trained me to understand that when you do something wrong, it is not just us who are looking out for you. The people around you will correct you.
Exactly.
I understand that there are certain situations that people might not like another person's child and might want to use the excuse of discipline to go the extra mile. Those are extreme cases and those are rare occasions.
Rare occasions.
But the origin of where we are today, MI, is because as a family, we have chosen to not use the rod on the child. And so the fury that comes with the child remains with the child, and the child grows up in that mindset to where it is today. Children in their 15, teenagers within the age of 12, 15, and 16 are now barons in cultism.
I tell you.
They are bosses.
These are acts of hooliganism and cultism.
In my state, for instance,
sorry, just to add, some of the witnesses that sent me this video said they saw them they were throwing bottles at each other. Some carried cutlasses. At small children like this, they carry weapons.
But that's what they're trained for.
That's gangsterism.
That's what they're trained for.
And imagine a teacher doesn't have a say in the life of a child.
So if you go to Akwa Ibom, the state secretariat, there is a group of endangered species of children around there that nobody is paying attention to. They harass workers at the secretariat entrance, especially in the evening during the close of work. They don't have a home. They come from different locations. You can call them street children. These children are high on God knows what. And when they beg you for money to eat and go buy whatever it is they are high on, and you don't give, they harass you. What has the government done about that? Absolutely nothing.
Okay, before we come to the government, there was something you said, Baiswa also said. I also agree. It's also one of the factors of socialization. It's the society. We have the immediate society and the remote society. Now, some of these children, I grew up in about 4 ghettos, or what you call slums, in old Port Harcourt Township. But I learned something which I stumbled on when I was reading in my days of studying books, a psychology book. It talks about being like oil in water. If you drop a drop of oil in water, it will float. It will stay intact. It stays together, yet it is inside the water. And that psychology book said that's how we should be in society. You don't adapt to every environment. Now, the elements, the ability and enablement that kept me like oil in water were the disciplines I got from my home, what they call home background. But this is it. That did not take away the facts and the truth. that those environments were pollutants to human upbringing.
Enough reason for you to turn
Enough
out
reason.
differently.
To the point that at a very young age, when I was in secondary school, I said, if I had the power, I would wipe away all ghettos and slums. Because I saw enough that were offensive to my senses and sensibilities and to my value system. But condition kept me there at that time. So sometimes we were even envied and bullied. They said, okay, they make it, they do as if you
are
exactly. Though we were living together, but we were not.
True.
We could not get involved in certain things that they did. I grew up with 2 militant warlords today that are prominent, but I chose the other way. Like Kudo Leseka would say, I choose. So, the environmental setting is part of every government's responsibility.
Are we correct?
To set, to create, to facilitate enabling environment, considering that it has impact on the makeup of who you are as an individual and your children, which are our future. So don't you think that has failed? Because today we still see slums. I give it. Let me play devil's advocate. I give it to former Governor Amechi. He had an agenda of wiping away slums, and it was misconceived and interpreted. And for that, as a communication expert, I said it was a poor
Gap.
orientation. Because the moment he said, I will clear slums, I will clear ghetto, what they call the aborigines, the indigenes felt threatened. And they read meaning to it to say, oh, it's an agenda of the upland trying to take away.
I get it. I
it
heard
will
that
not work. So it was dead on arrival. But like in arguing one-on-one, and I said, if I were to be the governor, and from here, I would do it faster. I will show you where you are, where water carries physics to your doorstep, where you understand me? You are living next to the other man. The other man is somebody is playing music here and is disturbing you here. Somebody is cooking one sour soup. You understand that kind of living?
Preparing for exam, the next house.
Where somebody can move from this house to get into another house and rape another. You understand? And they keep it there. All sorts of shenanigans go on there. I said I would do it so fast. But I will show you this is where you are, and I will tell you that it is your right, it is your international right to have a fundamental accommodation and environment for your well-being. And this is where I want to take you to. So what are your fears? Your land, Abi, I will sign. I'm not taking your land. What else? I'm not moving you away. I'm not giving it to my friends and cronies. I'm not going to touch 1 inch. I will sign. I will also say, oh, you're going to cause us inconvenience. Government will pay you for some inconvenience, and then we'll start gradually, like in a system I call shifting cultivation. So when we do the first ones, we move people from slums to White House. Others will be envious. Say, wow, John, their house fine. They don't move. They will now say, governor, come and do our own. So you start gradually, and they are seeing you. But before you know it, in 1 year, if you have a plan, you would have turned a whole slum. That's what they did to Agri State. They did to Ndoki State. Yeah. Okay, where I grew up. So he missed it. The government just said, we want to clear away slums. And they said, oh, we want to come out. You understand? So don't you think the government has also failed to wipe it? Even Diob, I said, I will wipe it away and rebuild it. So that it makes sense. So that you can identify that if John is here, it's John. But what happens is that they commit crime, they run into one backyard, they run into one slum, and even the security operatives find it difficult to trace people. If you send them, they'll say, I'm not going there alone.
Am I?
So
let's be realistic. All of this you've been saying, I can relate to, because I was born and raised in Port Harcourt, old Port Harcourt town. Okay, there's somewhere called the Bundu Access.
Exactly.
It has bettered
I lived there too for a while.
doctors, hardened criminals. Hardened criminals. Now, you mentioned some security personnel can't even enter Bundu Waterside head front. You go lost. That is the word. Because you can't even see nobody. It's a ghetto that promotes all sorts of deviant behavior. And you see, a child that grows up from that environment,
what will you become?
Doesn't see himself amounting to anything in the society. He wants to take after that other cultist, that warlord. He wants these are these role model because of his
Exactly.
environment.
What you see every day.
It's Francis, you need to take a tour to this area. It saddens.
I like that tourism trip.
You need to take a tour to this area. But some persons have come out from that same slum and amount to something good in the society.
Like, I'm here.
So that comes back to me playing the devil's advocate. You see, there is a quote from Michael Jackson, God rest his soul, that I love growing up, and I still love it. Still form part of my personal creed. Say, where you come from does not really matter.
True.
But where you are heading to. And the picture of your immediate environment is too small and insignificant for you to use it as a measurement as to where you can get to. So, there is this biblical story or narration that one of our pastors used, or priests used while we were growing up, of a father who was a drunk and abusive and had two sons. And then fast forward to years later, one of the sons made it to become one of the most successful men, a successful businessman, a great husband, a great father to his children, to his wife. And the other became a deadbeat just like the father. At the end of the day, a documentary was done, and the one who is successful was asked, you are both sons of the same father and the same mother. You were both raised in the same pattern. Everything your brother witnessed, you witnessed. Why are you different? And he said, because I made the conscious decision. I saw all the things that my mother went through. I saw all the things that my father did. I saw what I went through as a child, and I vowed to not be who my father was, not to my wife, not to my children, and not to the society. Because in the midst of that society, they may not have been prominent like celebrities, but they were families who were doing better than my father was with my mother. And so I had these side by side to determine what I wanted to be. So, yes, we cannot choose our families. We cannot. There is no way you and I will determine who our father is or who our mother is.
But
that is the Almighty
you can
God.
choose to change your future.
Yes, but you can choose to change your future. So, children growing up in the ghetto, I mean, if I told you I have never traveled outside Nigeria, I mean, 2 or 3 years back, you wouldn't believe it. Because I don't look it. God has created you very beautiful, you know. You know these children that God just give you that oyibo, natural, you know, and they expect that, oh, this one is from out of the world, coming from abroad. Oh, you are village brought up. You are village made. You went to the village community school. You went to the village community secondary school. You managed to go to a university within your own town. So everything about your life settled in your immediate environment. But you still get to make out something for yourself. Because you understood it is not where you are, but where you are aiming for. So children within the ghetto do not have any excuse. I take your mind back to something Professor Mina shared with us a few days back when she was here. When they painted a picture of what the beach in the local area could look like if the people took conscious decision to keep that environment clean. And then the government and investors now decide to come in and give the environment a facelift. So it comes down to your individual decision. If you see that there are cultists around your area, there are criminals, there are warlords, and just because you are in the ghetto, you want to end up in the ghetto, you should also ask yourself, before of the 2 warlords or 1 warlord that is still surviving, hundreds must have died within the course of growing in the trade. So, are you going to be fortunate enough to live long enough to become the warlord if you follow in that criminal line?
You know, this you just said, they see that it was the same message I was preaching to some of them when I met. If I meet them, I tell them, look at me, I'm 6 feet, I'm a fighter, I can carry any weapon you people are carrying. I can choose to become like Osama bin Laden, pull down, destroy. But it's about choice. Like you said, mindset. That was the question I wanted to ask you. You've already answered it. So it's important that, yes, you may be living in a poor environment. Your parents may be poor, but that is not who you are. That's only a circumstance and a stage in life at a point in time.
Aim for the best.
I tell you, now it's easy. There was a time in my life I couldn't buy a bottle of Coke of 30. Was it 30 kobo? 30 kobo, yes. Not that my father was rich, but my mom was a poor teacher. And she was spending her fortune to train us to do the important things. She was paying our school fees, feeding us very well, our health, our dressing. So I didn't want to bother her about all these sweet things, okay? And I didn't have. My friends would come and say, buy us mineral. So I don't get money. But when I went to their own houses, their parents would just, your friends don't come. You understand? But I kept my mind straight. I said I was not going to deviate to be a criminal or into any vice. So how important, that's what you said, but I want to cap it properly. How important is this mindset? Because some of them see themselves, like you say, they see themselves being killed.
Yes, they do.
In fact, a couple of them I spoke to today, they are dead. I called them, I said, see, you see this thing? The moment you start carrying weapon, you start forming gangsterism, you start attacking people, it's a natural law. It will come back to you. It will haunt you.
It 101.
And today, a lot of them, they didn't get up to 25, or some of them even get up to 30. They are gone. And they see themselves every day. In fact, there was an area I lived, every other day it was reprisal attack, counter-attack.
Backlash.
Every other day.
Because they're going to fight for dominance. The different
I had to move away from that.
For
You understand? It was by God's grace. Everybody, they don't come, and you see them small children.
And you know the funny thing, these people are not educated. Because if you're educated enough, what will you be doing with shooting in the ghetto? It doesn't make sense. A university graduate will end up being, though some of them, some even in school end up joining one of those fracas, confraternity and the rest of it just to gain power and surmount the girls and also lecturers for result and the rest. But if you're raised properly and you have this mindset shift, I want to do better than my parents. Even living in slum is not enough reason for you to carry gun. Some of my old classmates in primary school are into drug and the rest of it, but like you mentioned, about 40% of them are nowhere to be found. Some of the girls are pregnant with children, selling at Creek Road Market, selling at Bundu Waterside, and they're like, yes, this is it. We went to the same school, same environment. But what was the picture? My dad took conscious effort. He had girls, conscious effort. It was so bad that even while I'm on a university, our houses, my dad has our house key. He will surprise you at any time. So there's nothing like even having a boyfriend, because my dad, he has that's in a what? Army man. He will surprise you at any given time. He didn't give chances to any of those. And though growing up, the discipline was really too much. Like, daddy doesn't love me. But today, I appreciate every one of it.
Okay, so but let's come back to, I'm going to pass the buck to the government, and this is why I say so. One, in terms of policy, Nigeria has a policy, a national policy of safety, security, and violence-free schools with zero tolerance commitment. But the question is the implementation gap. Now, some of the key highlights reported by experts, they say it's been underreported in terms of child protection, in terms of children compliance. Number two, they talked about the normalization of the vices. Number three, they talked about poor funding and structures and infrastructure. And they also talked about the enforcement of the Child Rights Act 2003 not being domesticated or even demonstrated by certain local governments, states, and so on. Ultimately, they say next to God is government. In China, we blame them, and even Russia, we blame them for excessive control. Some political schools of thought say excess control is dictatorship. But conversely, too much freedom leads to anarchy.
True.
Is our government, in trying to be not being a dictator, also now not turning out to encouraging anarchy? Because this is, quote and unquote, figuratively speaking, anarchy, where you have children. Sometimes I ask myself, what emboldens them broad daylight. We are seeing elders. You know, those days when we did something like that, but we see elders say, brother, come, brother, come. We run away. We call our elders brother and sister. Brother, they call, sister, they call. We run away. They were so bold, throwing bottles at each other. They didn't give a damn about the police catching them. They didn't give a damn about anybody. In fact, if you saw one of the videos, they were covering their faces. Usually they were aware, people were filming them.
Yeah.
They were covering their faces with their bags. They didn't give a damn whether you go even report to their parents. What gave them? Because the system, the control system, the law enforcement system, I say, is weak. Because the one that can control everybody, the schools, the families, even when family, like in some civilized climes, when they see, like in any society or neighborhood you are living, the moment you constitute any threat to that peace, they just call the security operatives and they'll come to you nicely. Hello, Mr. Francis. What's your name? What do you do? So. Well, it was reported that your children were disturbing the neighborhood time. If it needs, they will check. If they find any evidence, they need to invite you. They take you away. If they need to invite you, they invite you. If they need to give you caution, they give you caution. Here, can you invite Nigerian police? Call me, this man picking the smoke, you go. Call me, this man picking in the carry gun, in the stone bottle, the stone. You understand? Can you understand? Are you going to tell me that the security operators do not know? Do not know what? If you go on the internet, you will see the various reports. Some of the ones I've read on internet this morning. You will see reports of what's going on in our schools, about our school children.
You see,
that they do not know that these behaviors are taking over, becoming wild. What they were doing, people film them, and it's on the internet.
Yes, the security agencies might be aware or may be aware of what is happening, but do we have enough to cover the schools? Let's take our mind back to something that just happened that is currently trending on different media platforms, where the Turkish authorities blocked the Atlantis event cruise carrying about 2,000 LGBTQ travelers aboard the Virgin Voyage. And what is the reason given? I'll cite it. They said the refusal of entry is because the personalities on board the Virgin Voyage do not have a moral standard that aligns with the policies and social norms of the Turkish people. So, what is our national social norm? What do we consider as
we have national values, by the way.
Social system? What are our national values like? Are they on paper? Or is that something that we have intentionally inculcated into each and every member of the Nigerian society that trickles down to the family? The family is the first unit of every community, of every society. And when we fail at the family level, we fail at the community level, we fail at the state level. Now, the role of the government is to set the policies. And already by taking punishment away and taking corporal punishment away, we have told children that they can do and undo, and your teacher has no right to discipline you. I started out as a teacher, and part of the training we were given is to know how to discipline a child. So when you are disciplining a child, you have your cane. The child sticks out his or her hand, and then you give him or her the strokes of the cane that you have to give that child.
That's
part of discipline.
Where they permit corporal punishment.
Yes. If it is not, the strokes of the cane, kneeling down for a specific minute moment, or sending that child out for manual labor, or summoning the parents, there were different ways to deal with these issues. But today in our institutions, they are all gone. Because the government did not support it, because the government brought laws. See, laws are made for men, not the other way around. Which means, if as a government we are bringing laws, we should be able to scrutinize that law to a point where we know that this law is not going to help create more monsters in the society. It is going to help build. My father and my mother will always tell me, nobody ever died from discipline. I mean, even God has said it crystal clear that as I, God, your creator, discipline you, so shall and will your father, your earthly parents, discipline you. Train up a child in a way and manner that it should go. And when that child grows up, he or she will not depart from that way. As a government, as a community, as a family, most of us have failed our children. And the resultant effect is what we are seeing. Even in our homes, you see children who are 5, 6, 7 talking back at their parents, talking down at their parents. And what do the parents do? Junior, stop that.
This pikin go kill me, oh.
And we joke about
Me, I not kill my mama, papa, I not go kill me.
That.
So the child grows up being emboldened. I read a story that at the end of it I wept, of a mother who was turned to a slave by her own child.
Oh my.
So a grown-up 22-year-old adult cannot wash after himself.
It's not domesticated.
Cannot take care of his house or his room. Sits down to order the mother around for food, for laundry, for everything. He needs money to do something, orders the mother. He goes gambling, he goes betting, and the person bearing the brunt is the mother. But I love the father in that story, because the day the father found out, he sent him packing of his house. Entered his room, packed his bag, gave it to him and told him, from this moment, you're no longer part of the family. Since you think you can sit in my house, eat my food, and order my wife, your mother, around, go and provide for yourself and see how it feels.
And some will bolt out to.
And he left.
I disfather you.
And the first shock I had was that the friends he thought were his gang, they did not take him in.
They filled in.
So he slept for 2 days first in the street, the cold streets. And that recalibrated his mindset.
Yeah.
Months after, he was the one who returned to say, Father, Mother, I am sorry. And he brought a change. So I am sharing that story to take our mind back to the fact that if you do not train your child when you need to train them, they'll become monsters. And the first person to suffer
It's you.
it is you, the parents.
Strike the iron when it is hot. Finally, do you think that we need a national conversation urgently, an SOS? The reason I say this because, like I said, each time I see this, they shock me. I'm like, wow, when did this start? How did we get here? It starts gradually. Because this century, like Ben Marigus once said, that you may spend money, build castles, well fenced, and stay inside. But if you don't train your children and our children well and ensure that there is law and order, those your children will sell out those assets you've built to the wise children. And they'll make you go mad. You may even die, give you a heart attack.
It's happening already.
Because I've seen families where the children they refuse to take care of become the issue that gave them heart attack. They died. I've seen issues like that.
True.
They become drug addicts. They become gangsters. They bring problem to you every day. You're saying like, we're speaking before you know it. And some parents love their children so much. So don't you think we need a national conversation? Because if you talk about the vices and crimes that happen, the major characters and actors are the youths. These young ones.
Speaking of national conversation is highly needed, but we need to go back home.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the drawing board, where just a mother and a father doesn't raise a child.
Yeah.
Where a teacher can actually discipline a child with cane when it's necessary. If anyone is extreme, he can take it up to the principal as a result of my child being disobedient. Why giving all of those? Let's go back to the drawing board. It's very important. Then I used to hear, no matter how wealthy I am, I can't raise my children in abroad because, children over there don't listen. They don't respect their parents. I don't want them to, call the police to come arrest me because I discipline my child. Some will say, I want to bring my children back home. Let them do the primary, secondary. After university, I bring them back. I want to have a child as well raised and respected as African or as Nigerian as we are. But today, the story has changed. The narrative has changed. Because how? Now, you're sending a child back to secondary school. A teacher can't even correct that child. Some parents pay extra care. Don't flog my child. Even when they were flogging, no matter how disciplined it is, some teachers were corrupt in that way. But now, this is the reality. What we raise now is a monster that will affect us tomorrow. So it's high time we have this national conversation, and we should go back to the drawing board. The home front. I don't know how they're able to sit down and say take out discipline in school settings. How is that possible? What's going on?
It was by action and inaction.
No.
Everybody just relinquished and they just watch things going.
No. We really need to go back home, because these children are capitalizing on this. Whatever I do, there's no punishment.
Nobody talks.
So I'm free.
Even in societies, children have hijacked. They are now reigning in locals. In locals, they are
take it to social media. See children on TikTok, 15, 16 years, doing all sort of nonsense. And they have parents, and they're doing the same thing in the house of their parents. Maybe not like they're off the street.
We need Chinese president to come and rule Nigeria.
We have a lot of information in this country to start.
You see, in child psychology, we're told that when children will test you.
True.
And as they're testing, they're watching for the result.
Very well.
They're watching for your actions.
Very well. They learn by observation.
Reactions.
Yeah.
So if a child does something, for instance, a child asks for this cup, and it is not timed by your schedule for him to have this cup, and just because that child asked and started throwing tantrums, you handed the cup over to the child, you've already passed the message that that child can achieve anything by throwing tantrums. And it starts from there. So the child knows, all I need to do is create some level of chaos and my will be met. And if I don't create chaos, my needs will not be met. So it grows. And with every day, with each age, reinforces. They become bolder. They become more, aggressive. They devise different means to make it. I used to be a little bit, naughty when I was growing up. Yeah,
but they spanked you. They spanked you.
They removed the naughtiness from him and left end.
Seriously, I used to be a little bit naughty. See, I grew up with my mother, and being the last born, my sisters were all out. So I was alone with my mom. So when they bring beverages, I used to love beverages. It was so for children. So I would drink in the morning. I want to drink again mid-morning. I want to drink in the afternoon. But my mom regulated. No. If we're having tea for today, you have tea in the morning. You have your proper lunch in the afternoon, and you have your dinner
tomorrow.
The next day, But me, I wanted. So I now devised a means that every time a visitor comes, that's the time I want to. And my mom will
show your naughtiness.
Yes, my mom granted the first one.
So that would be nice.
Granted the second one. The third time, my mom was like, he's a child now. Then the fourth time, I did my initial gragra. My mom said, okay, let me come. My mom went inside. That long cane that used to, when they give you one, it wraps
your brain will reset.
And dealt with me in front of the visitor.
Okay. Yes.
And then told me, if your
formula failed. They tried it.
From that day, I never tried it again. Ever. So that also taught me a message that if I can disrespect my mother and get what I want, she can also disrespect me.
Exactly.
And I hated being punished in front of people.
Let me correct what you said. There was a client I walked into the shop. They sell antiques, expensive one. This vase, this very expensive one. You touch one point something million, 10 million, 20 million. So there was this family that came with her daughter. Obviously, they look from the elite class, opulent. They came in and all that. So while she was pricing, the owner of the shop was taking her around, personally attending to her based on her status and a client respect. The child was running about, touching, and the mother was saying, she would call her workers, hold that baby. So she was between the mother and
the child.
I was watching, and I was also apprehensive because I noticed, once I heard the prices of those things, and the way the child would just go, give me this one. She wants to drag it. Give me this one. And I'm like, who the hell are you? Who raised you? My child, I go out to somewhere with you. And you're running randomly anywhere.
Only the look my dad will give you.
Oh my God. That was what we said. Now you know what? The woman tried, she was being so nice and polished. When the woman left, she said, look, what if this child had broken one vase and I said it's 10 million? Would my customer would she have been happy with me?
Oh, I get it.
Why don't you lock your child in the car? If you have a wild dog, chain the dog.
Keep the child at home. And the child
will come and say, I'll beat you, leave that thing. Leave it now, smack you. The child will say, no. I said, look at what you're doing. So, parents, please, if you love your child, it's not to spoil your child. is to, when you discipline your child, that's love. Even the Bible says, for God chastises those he loves. If God wants to show you things, he will, look at what he did to Jesus Christ.
Okay.
He will take you
His
through.
only son.
He will take you through. But at the end of it, he knows that your reward. That's love. Love is not losing control of your child becoming your Lord and Master. No, that's not love. All right, moving on. Let's move on to this a few other stories. This one is from Vanguard. It says Nigeria's national identity database captures over 136 million Nigerians or citizens. And the report goes on to say the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, says Nigeria's national identity database has enrolled more than 136 million Nigerians and legal residents. The Director General of NIMC, Engineer Abishoye Koka Odusote, disclosed this during a courtesy visit to the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. Now, as part of the stakeholder engagement on the implementation of the new NIMC Act, the President Bola Tinubu signed the NIMC Act into law on June 26, 2026, replacing the 2007 Act. Koka Odusoye said the new law strengthens Nigeria's digital identity system by making the national identity number NIN the country's primary identity under the one person, one identity policy. It also designates NIMC as the root certificate authority for the national digital infrastructure and introduces stronger data protection, cyber security, and digital credentials. Now we have a big challenge. And this challenge was brought about so many times by some scholars, some persons who have traveled out of this country. And it's part of it is this insecurity. For all it has several benefits: planning, budgeting, development. But one key area is security. And as I've said before, I will establish again, security is about knowing who does what, where, when, and how frequent. That's it. So, in civilized crimes, for people to know who is Francis, who is MI, and what does he do, and what did he do, they need to have your identity registered in a way they can trace you. So if you go to New York and you buy an item, you go back to Arkansas, you buy another item. That's why they were able to trace those guys that wanted to construct artificial bomb. Because they went somewhere, they bought some amount of products, and it showed in the system. And security operatives were watching. They went to another shop in another state in the United States. They bought that same item quantity. They said, no, this is a red flag. They started tracing them. They didn't know. So before they could get to assembling all together, security operatives swooped in on them and saw a whole cache of components they were trying to assemble. How? They traced them. Identity. The moment you put in your card in any of the shopping systems, it reflects. The moment you come into the country, it reflects. The moment anything you buy, it reflects. In this country, the call has been out there. When will Nigeria know that you need each citizen's identity profile data bank? In this country, if you are born, you've not succeeded in registering all births.
No, definitely.
In this country, if you die, Nigeria's government have not succeeded in registering all deaths. In this country, if you move from place to place, no record. How do we? That's part of the problem why our security, the challenge of our security is getting worse and worse. Because you don't know who is coming in, our borders are porous, you don't know who is moving out and where they are. Who did what? Who bought gun? Who brought the gun into Nigeria? Where are they keeping it? What did they buy? Where did they buy the bullets? Where did they buy the uniform? Where did they enter transport? The vehicle they used. 2 incidents about stolen car happened. They are close to me. One my mechanic, one my in-law. My mechanic just bought a car, one for his wife, or for him and the wife to drove it to a church. A Sienna van, and the moment she got there, they said, welcome, new car. Before she came back from the church, they've taken it. Today they couldn't trace it. My in-law the same thing. He has a bakery. He bought a Sienna bus for staff and for supplies. Hired a driver. Just 1 week, the driver eloped with the car. Till today, the police say no fit trace him. So what is it that our government do not understand? They travel to these countries. Some of them have houses. They will tell you, I lived in the US for 20 years. I have a house in London. I have a house. But yet they don't bring back these things. Well, we command them for 130 something million people registered. But how effective has this been in tackling security?
I wanted to ask.
Yes.
All of this, is it on paper or is reality? Tackling all of these numbers, which they have trying to put in place to implement, it will be able to curb the issue of insecurity, all this behavior
Kidnapping, terrorism, one chance.
But I feel on the government part, they are just too lazy to implement what is necessary. You know why? Because it doesn't affect them. Where have you heard that an elite is kidnapped and isn't brought back after 72 hours in Nigeria? So it's none of their business. So they don't care. This might just be a way to swindle us to show that they are working. But till we see it work, then I can say something concerning it.
Okay, well, Francis.
I think the problem with Nigeria is that we have too many directions. Each appointee of government comes with his own ideologies, his own concepts, and what he believes should be done. I might take a mind back to when we had BVN before we now have NIN.
True.
And some of us were on radio then, and we asked the question. In America, up till today, I have friends who are American citizens, and even when they are in Nigeria, they are able to vote in their elections from the comfort of their room in Nigeria, because they have the social security number. Just one number that identifies. The moment that number is entered into any database, every detail that has to do with you comes up. But in Nigeria, you have NIN, you have BVN, you go to do your voter's card, you have VIN, you go to do your driver's license, you have a driver's license number.
You want to come and look for work or even collect money, they will only compel you, go and get your, and then when you bring it, what for?
So you have
your SIM,
multiple identification identity. And at the end of the day, we do not have a unified database that allows for one number to be linked to each and every person across Nigeria. And then we turn back to blame, Nigerians. I read the story this morning, and one of the concerns I have is the fact that of the 230 million Nigerians, you're capturing about 130 something million.
After how many years?
So how about the others?
What happens to the 110 or 115 million that is left? So how can we account for these huge percent? That's almost like 50% of Nigerians not captured. And yet, you expect that we are going to be able to address development issues. We're going to be able to address
policy making,
security
planning,
concerns. The planning,
resource allocation,
all of it.
When we
public
do not
service
have
delivery,
adequate data. So, the Nigerian problem is the lack of governance willpower. Because if we had the governance willpower, and if we had a focus and a direction from the highest hierarchy, from the presidency down, we will have a presidency or a president who comes in and understands that you don't need multiple identity. You just need one number that should be duplicated and unified across every other legal valid document that has to do with your identity. So if we are going to say NIN is the valid Nigerian agency that documents who a Nigerian is, then your NIN should double or triple as your voter's identification number.
Beautiful.
It should double as your bank verification number. It should double as your driver's license.
Everything.
So that at the end of the day, you don't have multiple numbers representing one individual. And then you can also now link that to the mobile devices that we each have. So if somebody has a mobile number, the BVN or the national identification number of that individual is linked to the mobile number. And then the picture of that individual is also linked to the database. We sit down and we see how America is able to achieve results in seconds. And we ask how. It is simple. The database is there. And they are very thorough, that once you're in, you're in. And from that database, everything that happens in your life is imputed. If you've been arrested for a crime before, it reflects in the database. If you've gone to prison before, it reflects in the database. So at the end of the day, the moment your name is pulled up, everything that has to do with you shows up.
Francis, you want to make me cry now?
No, I want to ask you on
me
it,
cry
Francis.
now.
Do you think Nigeria will ever get to this place?
We can get it.
can get
It's
there.
the individuals.
Do we have what it takes?
We have.
Then why are we still
The lack
laid
of
back?
governance and political will, that's all that is missing.
Oh my.
It comes back to the problems, leadership.
So, from CEMTV, as a headline request, we are appealing to Mr. President and all the relevant government structures. You've traveled to the United States. The president goes to France every other time for medical checkup. Some go to UK, every part of the world. Bring all together. Even Israel, they have one identity. That's why they are tops in terms of security intel. They can trace you. They know who you are. They even have records of people who are outside, who are figures of national concern. They know about you the way you don't even know about yourself. One code to identify every citizen of this country is all we need. If you don't know how to do it, we have international relationship with United States, we have with Israel, we have with Russia, we have with China. We can ask them, as my international partner and friend that wishes me well, how did you do your own? Come and help us as a system. You can even do it in the background. Even if you are ashamed of telling the world that you are learning from Israel or America. But what is international relations? It's for mutual benefit. They come here and as a policy, they guide you, they work with you through, you implement it, and you start now. Know who dies, know who is born, know who is moving from where to where. That way it will become, so like you said, one click, the record of your crime, people will commit crime, you wouldn't even know that this person is a serial offender. They walk away, you arrest them, release them, no record.
No record.
How can we manage a country like that? Okay, so one other challenge very quickly before we move on to the next topic is when you get to these offices. I went to NIN office. I will spare them their name.
Don't even get me started.
I got there.
Let's not even do it.
They said there was no network. And I left, at that time I left the office where I was working. I said, look, this is my official time. I came here personally because of that was even after the rush. I didn't go during the rush because the rush, people told me they were sleeping outside. They were fighting on queues. They were all manner of, they were even bribing. All manner of allegations. Why? For something you want the citizens to register. When you could do this, what about being proactive? Taking it to people's houses, neighborhoods, local offices, register them at their time. People will leave the offices, come and queue up in your, and no network. So at some point, the drama I saw was that if you don't tip them, they will say go to this, something like a computer. You will go there and type and type and type, the thing will not respond. They say no network. Oh. If you want to wait, you wait. Or you come and tip them, and then they will manually register you faster. So it became, you understand? The same thing that an analyst talked about, proposing an idea. He had proposed an idea to the government before America introduced the DOGE, Department of where was Elon Musk was in charge of.
Okay.
That he had proposed that same idea for Nigeria. Scrutinize all your ministries, agencies, and departments. Know what they do and how they do it. Know their needs, wants, and demands, their challenges. It is no government can serve the people well without its ministry, agency, and department. Yet, from the federal level to the state level to the local government level, some don't even know how many they have. Like this one now that's embarrassing the whole country. And finally you say, no, we don't know you. But somebody had given you an idea, you didn't know. No leader, whether you're the president or the governor or local government chairman, can rule successfully without knowing the sources of your income and expenditure. And it's happening in Nigeria. Like this one that's embarrassing us. So please, what will you say about government putting their agencies together for efficient public service? Because not enough to say, okay, let's say they come in now with a good policy. Or everybody go and take one number. The same they did for the SIM registration. It was chaos in telecoms offices. And people are saying, must we suffer just to come and register? Election will come, people will suffer. And yet, people vote in other countries, what they call early voting, where you can just come casually, vote, go back to your office. What is it about our leaders? Talk to us.
This can only work if the government put in modalities to checkmate people that are in charge of this department. Also, get a professional to head the department and not put people based on he's my relative, he's my godson, I'm trying to favor something. Until that, this is what we're still going to be suffering, because you can't carry someone that's a scientist to come work in the place of engineering. It doesn't make sense. All you want is give me something and I'll go, because as a politician you're supposed to be a public service, but whenever you're now a private service personnel, no longer a public service, so what are we doing? So it's only when the government put modalities in place, checkmate, and put people that are professional to handle all of this. This is when we'll actually have a better Nigeria.
Okay, for about 2 minutes, let's quickly take this last story before we go. The Senate demands end to terrorist rehabilitation and reintegration program. The Senate has asked the federal government to suspend the rehabilitation and reintegration program for Boko Haram members, while urging security agencies to intensify efforts to arrest and prosecute terrorists and other criminal elements responsible for the attacks across the country. The resolution was adopted during the plenary on Tuesday following a motion sponsored by Senator Abdul Laziz Yaradua on the escalating attacks, abductions and killings of serving and retired military personnel, which he described as a growing threat to national security and state authority. Very quickly, Francis, what do you have to say?
Well, just before that, I'd like to just chip in from the NIMSI conversation that Olubunmi Tunjojo did something when he came on board and that I liked. The bad luck of passports, the bad luck of registrations that were lying waste in at NIMSI offices across Nigeria, making sure that those were cleared out, and also making sure to digitalize the process of getting your passports done and making it also take place and happen in record time. That was a good thing. If we can have leadership that is focused and intentional like
Make
that,
it a national policy.
Yeah, with the national policy and the commitment to implementation,
national implementation, yeah,
then we will not talk about the challenges that we're facing. But coming to talk about the comment coming from the National Assembly, it's hilarious. It's very hilarious that it's coming at this time. And I'd like to say clearly, this is a political move. It's a political move. We have just barely a few hours, or should I say a few weeks to election campaigning kickstarting in Nigeria. You're not going to tell me that the senators did not, and I've not been aware of the many challenges. I've monitored the National Assembly live sessions for years, since the present administration, since the 10th Assembly and Senate President Godswill Akpabio and the Speaker came on board. And there have been several deliberations. There have been different scenarios where motions are raised, where members bring issues of their community members and constituents being killed by terrorists. And they've also deliberated on the issue of the federal government reintegration. The budget allocation for that was presented in the House of the National Assembly. The military defended that budget. So this is not the first time. This is a political move. As much as it might be well-intended, or it is well-intended, I see it as a political move to tell Nigerians, oh, we're finally looking into some of the issues that you've been, raising. So vote for us so that when we come back, we'll now finalize on the matter.
Okay, Marisol, your parting words.
It's actually laughable to start with that. This is now time for the Senate to wake up, saying insecurity is too much. You need to put an end to that. Don't put the repented terrorists into the society. Don't reintegrate them anymore. Why is it now? How long has this been going on? So, I have to take a cue from Francis. It's politically motivated. And my last word before I left the studio, I was telling Nigeria is not unstable. It's in your hand.
All right, Francis.
Government of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, all the representative, you can do better than politicizing issues that bothers on our collective welfare. If you're able to put an end to the reintegration and de-radicalization of terrorists and just let them face the full wrath of the law, then it will be better for each and every one of us.
Don't watch life happen. Let's make it happen. We are determining our country. Thanks for being part of today's package of CEMTV's News Surgery. We have a greater package for you tomorrow. It's always a rewarding time and is worth your while. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to the rest of our interesting package because you won't regret it. My name is MI. Have a great day.